Most investors overcomplicate deals, but sometimes it comes down to one thing: speed. This case study breaks down how Pete turned a simple inbound lead into a fast 10K deal by calling within minutes and locking it up in under 10 days. Let's break it down.
Okay, good stuff. So, hey Pete, congratulations, man. That I was absolutely certain that you were closing a deal shortly because of your discipline. Definitely, that's the result that we would expect for sure. So, Pete, let me ask you, can you please give me a little bit of context about what was the seller's situation and the condition of the property?
Well, the seller purchased the property as a rehab for himself that he was going to live in. And then he was hit with some sudden medical conditions. I think he said he had some form of cancer
Oh,
and it really began to deteriorate his health. And he just needed to get out. And yeah, so I came in and he was looking to move kind of quickly. I mean, I would say it's probably been about a week since our first contact. And now
all right.
yesterday I had just gotten the deal in contract. Um, I when the lead came in, that was one of those leads that I had called within the first probably 2 to 3 minutes max of it coming in. So that's testimony to the importance of speed to lead, like how we talked about.
Yes.
And yeah, he had a few offers. Honestly, I got it. The deal was locked up at $8,000. It's in a small town in West Virginia. The market is it's a strange market. It's one of those little small town markets. However, there are a lot of buyers there, so hopefully we'll be able to lock one down here in the next few days. Um, the property itself, I was told it wasn't in bad condition, but after calling the code enforcement in the county or in the city,
Yeah.
there's quite a few issues.
Oh
So,
yeah.
it's not going to be, a 20, 25, $30,000 assignment. It'll probably only be about a $7,000 to $10,000 assignment.
Oh,
But
okay.
still, nonetheless gets a deal done um, and revenue from the campaign. So yeah, we'll see. The closing is on April 24th. It's scheduled for April 24th. Today's April 9th, so we got about 2 weeks. Um,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, that's
That is
pretty much
fantastic.
a little bit about the deal.
Awesome. Congratulations, Pete.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, what you said is definitely true. Speed to lead is a huge differentiator when it comes to get results. But also I'm fascinated by the fact that this one was West Virginia and not your bread and butter area.
Right.
So that's another huge testimony about how important it is to be just open to talk to people and see what's going on and take it from there, right?
100%.
Absolutely. All right, good stuff. Now, Pete, what type of deal was this? Was that an ovation, just a cash offer straight, or what was it?
Straight cash offer assignment.
All right, perfect. Um, would you say there was anything in this negotiation, in this deal that you have learned that you could apply to future deals?
I would. I don't know that I learned anything new from this deal. I think navigating a new market, maybe a market that I'm not in.
Yeah.
That's probably I actually probably it's a virtual wholesale deal. And I've done a few out of market deals. I'm local to Columbus. I've done a few deals like in Dayton, Cincinnati, outside of our market, but those are all an hour away. This one's like 3.5 hours away, so it's a little bit further
Uh,
away. It's one that I'm actually like never going to see you know?
yeah.
So, um, so I would say doing navigating that, um, finding buyers. So I use Investor Base to pull a buyers list, and there's quite a few there. Um,
Mhm.
I think in this deal, what was kind of reinforced to me was the NEPQ style questioning and and digging into the seller's pain points, which were in this case medical issues. He just wants out of the property. It's become a burden for him. The city is on his ass about, fixing a bunch of stuff on the outside. He's tired. He's ready to move on from it. And so I really dug into those pain points and and yeah, and it's a good sales strategy. So um,
It is.
yeah.
Awesome. So, well, you mentioned that you used NEPQ techniques to kind of work out this deal. Um, what strategies do you use, or how do you get to build rapport with this lead, given that, you know, potentially, or maybe let's say that to be able to use NEPQ effectively, there has to be a certain connection, right? So they are open to, to discuss with you their inconveniences, their pain points, and all of that, right? Without connection, NEPQ is really hard to happen. So how do you get to connect with this lead?
Well, with this lead specifically, I was able to find out that he was a doctor. He was a physician,
Mm,
and my mom is a physician, and so I was able to make that direct connection because they were
mm,
actually in the same line of medicine. He practiced the same kind of type of medicine my mom did, and
nice.
from that, I was able to kind of draw the connection of him being a doctor to his health issues, and kind of poke at him and say like, look, you're a physician, you're a doctor, you know the severity of these health issues. Shouldn't shouldn't you be prioritizing that instead of some property that is honestly burdening you? And you
Mhm.
even told me that it's burdening you. And so that was kind of the angle that I took. And he agreed with me fully. So I told he there was kind of a little bit of a conversation about money. But
Uh-huh.
I told him like, look, after all this conversation that we had, it seems to me like, just getting rid of the property is more important to you than the money. So I think originally the offer was at $6,350. I had to end up matching somebody else's offer, which was 8,000. But still, I think realistically, we could probably dispo at 15 to 18,000. So, um, yeah.
That's great. That is great. All right, yeah, I'm super happy that you're using this type of how do you say, like these commonalities that you found with him and your mom profession, and use it to make that connection. That is great. Would you say it was hard to look it up, or it was an easy deal to negotiate?
This one was easier. This one was
Uh-huh.
definitely easier. Um, there wasn't a lot of competition. There were a few things, he wanted his sister to review the contract. She's an attorney. I don't even think that ended up ever happening. But honestly, I had a really good first phone call with him. I think we were probably on the phone for about 30, 40 minutes. And I was able to make that immediate connection, build rapport immediately, and and yeah, there was just a sense of trust where when I presented the original offer to him. He was pretty much good with it. I had to send a second offer, which had the same terms, just the price had to be adjusted. And after that, he had no problem signing it while he was on the phone with me. So, um, yeah, no, I would say that this one probably wasn't one of the more challenging ones. Um, but still a good rep. Still a good rep.
Nice, nice. How long did it take you to convert this lead into a deal? You mentioned something about a week.
Well, let me tell you exactly. I believe this lead came in on March 28th.
All right, so
So that
March
would
28th.
be it would be about a week and a half. Yeah, it's about 10 days.
Yeah. Okay, great. Your process is great, Pete. As you mentioned, speak to lead is the key, of course, alongside with other strategies, the way that you connect with people, but definitely everything. Story of success starts with speak to lead in this industry. So I would love to hear a little bit of the breakdown of the deal in terms of numbers and how it made sense to you. So, well, you mentioned that the ROI could be between around 7 to 10,000, right?
Right.
Okay, perfect. Now, were there, or up to this point, have you seen or encountered any like unexpected challenges or expenses?
Not expenses. No expenses. I would say when I first looked at the property on Google Earth, it's not a particularly sexy property. I mean, you could tell that there's, fascia and soffit that needs to be replaced. Um, and that there's, trash kind of around the property. Um, so you could see that there's work that needs to be done.
Hmm.
The numbers, I mean, when I was looking at it's again, it's a really strange market. Um, very, very strange market. It's one of those small town West Virginia markets that, you could see properties selling from as little as $30,000 to as much as $180,000. So this house is a three bed, one bath with no garage. There's room to add a second bathroom.
Hmm.
Um, I noticed in the area, brick homes tend to sell a little bit better than vinyl homes. This one is vinyl, but there is a property I found. It was a 3-2, a little bit bigger, that sold for 155, and it did have a garage. Um, so I was kind of thinking, ARV on this one could be somewhere around 135, 140. Um,
Okay.
so although, albeit it's 1,300 square feet, it probably needs, 70K worth of work. So,
Nice.
um, it is a decent rehab in a small
Yeah.
market.
Okay. Pete, can you tell me what metrics, what numbers or data you use to evaluate the potential profitability of this particular deal?
Right. So if I'm getting an ARV, call it 140, 140,000. Repair costs for a flipper, call it about 70,000. And a
Hmm.
flipper is going to want to make, I mean, in that kind of market, uh, well, so sorry. So then so 140,000 times point 91 is what I run it at. So that's after realtor commissions, after closing costs, 0.91. And then I subtract the 70,000 from that. And then a flipper is probably going to want to make around 30,000. That puts my dispo price at like 27. But I think that 70,000 is maybe a little bit conservative. It could probably be anywhere from 70 to 80,000. So even if it is on that
Hmm.
higher end of 80,000, that puts my dispo price at around 17,400, which is pretty much right on the money of where I was thinking, we could be at. So,
Yeah.
18K is what I haven't started sending it out to buyers yet. I was gonna start doing that today, but 18K is what I was gonna send it out at. So I think that was,
Gotcha.
super, super reasonably priced, given the condition of the property, given the one comp, that I found. And yeah, so
Awesome. Yeah.
that was kind of my process on getting that number.
Cool. Having all your numbers under control definitely is huge, to challenge yourself for the upcoming deals.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Pete, what was your experience before getting to Hesel Media? Where were you at?
I had probably so it was 2020, it's almost May 2026. I first started wholesaling in um May 2023, and it was kind of a hobby in college. And and then yeah, so it's been about 3 years that I've, been wholesaling. I was doing cold calling. I had cold callers working for me. I had, cold calling agencies that I paid. I was paying for data. And then last year was when I moved to PPC. Um, and I started in Google Ads. And for some reason, the campaign that I ran, I did one campaign and it just didn't perform great. I think maybe there was some ad optimization or something that was missing. And I honestly didn't really love Google Ads at the start, and it was really slow. And that's how it is with every marketing channel at the start. But there was something about it where I just couldn't hit on Google Ads, which was then why I moved to Meta. And I didn't know how to. I wanted a professional to run it for me, and that was when I found Hustle Media. Hustle Media was actually a referral um, from somebody in a hospitality group that I'm in, because that's also part of our business, Airbnbs and hotels, um, and it was a referral. Hustle Media was a referral to me from that group. So. But before Hustle Media, I mean, I would say I'd probably had done, I don't know, a couple dozen wholesale deals, probably around 30 deals,
Okay.
in the
All right.
past, 2.5 years really that I had really close to 3 years. So I was doing probably about 10 deals a year, just on my own, in college. And um, yeah, so we
That
had a
is
few deals under our
great.
belt.
I mean, in such a short period of time, you've done great. What's your career? So, do you finish your career, or you just decided to go this route with wholesaling?
My career.
Yes.
Well, um, I guess going back to like college, I was in pharmacy school originally,
Okay.
and then I was not crazy about science because I started wholesaling for a company in 2021. So, I mean, I guess really my experience wholesaling stretches back like 5 years. But I
Okay.
started wholesaling for a company in 2021, did a couple deals for them, made some money, and then realized I didn't want to do healthcare and moved into hospitality, which is then where I started doing Airbnbs, started like looking at hotel deals. But this whole time, I've been wholesaling. Wholesaling's been my bread and butter. Um, and I've always had some sort of wholesale deals going on. Um, but yeah, I think I don't really have like a W-2 or anything, to answer your
Yeah.
question. But I do have like other like rental properties and stuff. So, my career is real estate and real estate
Gotcha.
investing. And but yeah, I mean, I don't have a W-2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was just asking out of curiosity because you mentioned that during college you started doing this, so
Right.
you caught my attention
Yeah, yeah,
there.
no, I finished school, I graduated, got my degree and stuff at Ohio State, but yeah, I kind of used my degree, I guess.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. And by the way, when you were running Google PPC, were you doing it by yourself or was it through an agency too? or
I
this
had a
is the first
friend.
time
I
you're?
had a friend consulting for me. Um,
Okay.
a friend of mine he's actually been very successful in Google Ads. He probably does about 6 to 9 deals a month, um, just by himself. So it's pretty impressive. And he was running the campaigns for me, and it was still pretty early into his campaigns and running Google Ads as well. So um, since it's been probably 5 months since I've run Google Ads.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Now, Pete, let me ask you, what do you think so far about our service?
It's been good. I like these weekly calls.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeps you disciplined. And there's always good feedback, within the Slack channels. And I would also say that, with training, an acquisitions manager, the calls with John Leland, I think is his last name. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
mispronouncing it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Um,
is.
those have also been very helpful for my team and for the development of some of my acquisitions and people that I want to bring on. So
Yeah.
that's also been super helpful. So holistically, it's been um, really valuable service in getting deals done and growing a business and a true wholesale operation.
Yeah. Good to hear, man. Thanks for saying. Would you say that our marketing strategies, including, of course, NEPQ training, have contributed to your success with this deal?
What do you mean, marketing strategies?
Yeah, marketing strategies and coaching, like NEPQ training, our
Ah,
coaching, all of that stuff.
got it. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, um, in this deal specifically, like I was, it's been I've been with Hesel Media for probably about close to a month now, and
Yeah.
I've been going into the NEPQ training calls, and it's been a really good reinforcement of just sales strategy. It was stuff that I was already doing like subconsciously that like I didn't recognize. Like
Mhm.
I would always try to dig into pain points, even before Hustle Media. But sometimes on calls, I get distracted. Sometimes I allow sellers to speak too long, and that it's if you allow the seller to speak too long and don't take control of the conversation, um, you could you could lose a deal. Um,
Oh yeah,
and so the NEPQ calls have just reinforced in my head, make sure you're getting pain points, make sure you're asking the questions, setting yourself up. And yeah, so I do think that NEPQ marketing strategy has been super helpful in allowing me to lock up this first deal with Hessel Media and continue to lock up more hopefully. So
absolutely. I'm looking forward definitely for more. Would you recommend our services to other real estate entrepreneurs?
I would, yeah, I would.
Okay,
I think there's
fantastic.
lots of value in Hessel Media and a partnership with them. And yeah, I absolutely would recommend
That's
Hessel
great.
Media to other wholesalers.
Awesome, Pete. What do you think that you're doing maybe different to other investors that is actually generating you results?
Um, I would say speed to lead could definitely be one of
Agree.
them. Um,
100%.
you got to be on the phone with them in the first 2 minutes. I mean, like I prefer, you know, as soon as the lead comes in, I get that text notification. I'm calling them immediately. Like I want them to not even be like scrolling past the ad, and I want to be
Right.
calling them. And
Love
then
it.
they answer the phone. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to call me so soon. Well, here
Yeah.
I am.
That is fantastic, Pete. And there is a lot of value on what you're doing in terms of speed to lead, in the sense that it doesn't not only allow you to have a soon conversation, a quick conversation with the seller as soon as you get the lead, and of course, kind of being the first in contact with them, but also the fact that you are easily kind of cleaning up your pipeline. So you don't have stalled leads like sitting in your pipeline forever, but you actually clean it up, right?
Right.
So that is a huge value as well. People struggle a lot with stalled leads in their pipelines because they don't get in contact with them shortly. So afterwards, it's harder to get them on the phone because people is living their lives, right? So yeah, definitely speak to lead is a huge value that you're having in your process.
Yeah.
Would you would you have a piece of advice to other real estate investors that are just starting out and trying to close like their first deal?
Yeah. I mean, I would say for somebody trying to close their first deal, um, if you're starting your own business and you have your own wholesale operation going on, don't lose faith. It is scary. I remember like when I first started my operation, you're putting money into marketing and it's like,
Yeah,
is this gonna work? And you just have to be consistent and just have to be hitting the phones. Because if you're not, deals are just not gonna happen. So just consistency, and then specifically for meta ads, which I've been lacking here, personally, is your own creatives. And like I still haven't submitted a creative to you guys. I mean, I did, but then it was blocked by Meta. But I'm still working on putting together the right creative. And, when you do have the right creative, it's like that could completely blow up and change your business and you could get tons of amazing leads. And, the AI creatives are great, but unless if you could have that face to face connection with a seller, if, a seller scrolling
yeah,
and they see your face on your ad, that is like the most powerful tool. So, like, your own creatives, make your own creatives and
indeed.
make them
Yeah,
good.
definitely that helps. That helps a lot. Now, I kind of know this, but tell me, Pete, is there any other potential deals right now in your pipeline that you're actively kind of working out?
There's a few. There's a few from the meta ads. Um, and uh yeah, it's we're close on a few of them. So I'm gonna be setting up some walkthroughs. Uh Actually, I'm gonna be going up to Cleveland. There's a deal in Akron that I'm working on, but I'm gonna be in Cleveland this weekend. So I'm gonna try to set up a walkthrough at one of those properties to meet the seller, since I'll be in the market locally up there anyway. But yeah, there are a few. So like the best part about having meta ads running every day is just the pipeline continues to build up with leads. And yeah, so I think there are definitely a few more that we're gonna get. So
Awesome, awesome, Pete. Let's go for him. Now, just to talk a little bit about numbers, what was the city or the location in West Virginia where this deal is located?
it's in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Parkersburg?
Parkersburg, West Virginia. Yep, and that's Parkersburg is
Gotcha.
on the border. It's a bordering Ohio and West Virginia cities. So um, it's one of the bigger border cities. I have looked at a few deals on a few West Virginia border cities, and I mean some of them, a lot of those towns on that border are very small towns with very few buyers that just I mean, I hate to say it, but like they're like crack towns. Like they're towns with like, you know, drugs
Yeah.
and you know, poverty, and that's just what they are. I mean, it's just Ohio, West
Yeah.
Virginia, like small towns, and you have that over there. So this market is actually a little bit bigger, which is why I've been able to identify far more buyers for this deal. And that's, obviously super helpful. It prevents us from having to, go to realtors and stuff, and we could just go directly to buyers. And yeah, so it's a little bit of a bigger border, state border market, but still, relative to Columbus, tiny. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's the market.
perfect. What was it listed when you received the lead, by the way?
It was not. It was off market.
Okay, great. Now, what was the original seller's asking price?
Original asking price was 6,000.
6,000.
Yeah.
And you ended up offering, I mean, your final offer was 8.
Yeah, we got the contract locked up at 8.
All right, all right. You said the motivation was pretty much health issues, correct?
Yep.
Um, cool. Also, you mentioned that the closing date is set for April the 24th.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, you said that it was not really hard to lock up this deal. It was
Right.
kind of average or easy.
Right. Right.
Okay. Nice, Pete. Thank you very much for sharing these
Let's break it
details.
down.
I truly
Speed to
appreciate it.
lead, clear math, and strong connection with the seller. That's how this deal got done. If you want inbound leads and a system that helps you convert them consistently, book a call with Hesel Media and we'll show you how to build it.